This is going to be a Patreon-only video. I wanted to say thank you for the support, especially given my erratic uploading, and the huge swell of new people coming here. So today I will be reading some of the letters from Sarah Boone to the judge in her legal case. As noted in our original coverage, Sarah is a narcissist who is completely unable to see herself as she is, as narcissists are apt to do. In statements she would give to the police, she would describe herself as a workaholic who strived for success in everything she did. She was a loving mother, a great wife, and a pillar in her own community, but none of that was actually accurate. All of Sarah's accomplishments had occurred early in life, and she hung desperately to those lone moments of validation, going so far as to tell police that she was a straight-A student when she was arrested and interviewed, despite it being decades since she was in school. In her adulthood, she had become a lazy, rude, and entitled person who would often drink the day away with other men. Her husband would end up divorcing her after she, while drunk, invited multiple people over to their home, with their child sleeping in the other room. She had begun dating Jorge Torres, Jr. after her separation, and the pair was extremely toxic. Both abused each other, and Jorge's family had asked him repeatedly to end the relationship. Boone was charged with domestic violence by strangulation in July 2018. She and Torres had been living together for a year and a half. Torres grew upset, according to Boone, when she spoke to another man at a pub. Torres took her upstairs and kicked her in the right eye when they arrived home, she claimed. Meanwhile, he informed detectives that Boone had attempted to choke him. He claimed he had to kick her off in order to survive. Police investigated both stories, but as it was a clear-cut case of he said, she said, there was no way of knowing which story was accurate. Torres was charged with battery, while Boone was charged with aggravated battery with strangulation. They declined to bring charges against each other, and the case was subsequently dismissed. Torres was accused of punching Boone at least twice in June of 2019. The cops once responded to a domestic violence report at the couple's residence. Torres allegedly struck Boone on the head, face, knees, and arms. Torres was arrested in September of 2019 for breaking his probation. He broke through Boone's bedroom door while she was sleeping and hit her in the head, according to the criminal complaint. But, despite these and other issues, they continued to see each other. That is, until February 23, 2020. According to Sarah, it had been an average day, when at night, Jorge and her decided to split a bottle of wine. Once they had finished, she apparently stated that they should play a rousing game of hide-and-seek, and she asked Jorge to try and stuff himself inside of a suitcase that was lying on the living room floor. He did so, thinking she would let him out, but she never did. Instead, she filmed the suitcase, laughing as he struggled to get out, and saying it was punishment for everything he had done to her. He repeatedly told her that he was unable to breathe, and she needed to let him out, but she did nothing but laugh. The next day, around 1 p.m., Sarah called the police and said, quote, "My boyfriend and I were playing last night and I put him in the suitcase when we were playing, a hide-and-seek kind of thing." She went on to say she fell asleep and didn't realize Torres was still in the suitcase when she woke up a few hours later at about 11 a.m. She claims she unzipped the suitcase and found Torres unresponsive and not breathing. She phoned her ex-husband, who urged her to call 911. Sarah was subsequently charged with second-degree murder and as of today is being held in Orange County Jail without bail. The original video will be left in the description box if you would like a further explanation of events, as well as a breakdown of Sarah's behavior and psyche. That will be necessary viewing, as there will be instances in the video where I reference that. But since her time in prison, Sarah has not been very happy. As far as she's concerned, she is innocent of all charges, and everything that has occurred in the case has been a great miscarriage of justice. She has gone through multiple lawyers, with them filing court documents stating that she is hostile, controlling, and argumentative with them. Moreover, she refuses to listen to their advice, repeatedly stating that they work for her, not the other way around. Like Tony Todd and other narcissists we have covered on the channel, she is of the belief that if she just talks to people and is left in charge of her own defense, she will get off scot-free. The reality that she exists in is one where she is in the right, and those who don't agree with her are simply the ones with the issue. In her mind, her defense informing her that the evidence against her is vast, and there is a literal video of her laughing while her boyfriend dies at her own hand, and that she should be open to taking a plea deal, is a massive betrayal. Similarly, she refuses to let her lawyers do their jobs, thinking that they need to bend to her schedule first and foremost. When working a legal case, lawyers will spend hours a day reaching out to experts, interviewing family and friends, getting arguments together, and trying to build a case for the client. It's very common not to speak to a lawyer for weeks at a time because they are off trying to build their case. but that's unacceptable to Sarah. Each lawyer that has worked with her has reported that she calls them repeatedly, multiple times a day, while they're working on her case. Sarah believed that her lawyers should be at her beck and call, willing to take calls from her daily and field all of her questions as she thought of them. When her lawyers refused to act in the manner that Sarah deemed acceptable, she would become agitated, getting friends and family to call the lawyers as often as possible, and yelling at them whenever they did talk. The following is her first bit of correspondence with the judge on her case, which was sent April 20th, 2022. Honorable Judge Wooten, thank you foremost in advance for your invaluable time and concern in this very unexpected and incredibly confusing matter. All right, we're off to a good start. I am writing in regards to the requested withdrawal, most importantly, of my attorney, Mauricio Padilla, and his/my team filed on April 18th, 2022, along with a continuance. Forgive me if this is the wrong approach in contacting you directly, but I wanted you to be fully aware of the magnitude of my shock and disappointment in the betrayal of Mr. Padilla, because I have not, in any way, by anyone, been provided any explanation for the aforementioned withdrawal, etc. To be clear, this is the motion to withdraw that her lawyer has turned in. As you can see, it states, the undersigned is forced to withdraw as irreconcilable differences have risen between undersigned and defendant that have made it impossible to represent the client, meaning simply, he couldn't move forward because they weren't seeing eye to eye on how to move forward. It's fairly clear cut, but the explanation is unacceptable to Sarah. I unfortunately had to learn of these documents by my former husband when calling to speak with my son. After making a commitment to me as my attorney over the past 2 years and 2 months, ongoing to fully and sufficiently represent me, also being made to believe we are a team, I am completely blindsided. Nonetheless, in how this was and is being handled by a quote, professional, I do not understand. With that being said, Your Honor, I am graciously requesting in present pleas at this hearing on Friday, April 29th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m., so I am able to learn more and also explain the ongoing legitimate hindrances I have been facing, along with my inability to amply progress in the preparation for my upcoming trial and future. Sarah is very keen on trying to make herself look more intelligent than she is, which is why you see her using bigger and bigger words than are necessary, instead of simply saying, I am shocked at my lawyer at the motion to withdraw, and I am unhappy with how it is being handled, which is concise, easy to write, and gets your point across easily. She feels the need to use multisyllabic words that don't necessarily make any sense in the context she is using them. Saying she is graciously requesting to be present and that she wants to learn about the legitimate hindrances, it's all a ploy to make her appear more intelligent and reasonable than she is. Most people have a belief that using this kind of flowery, overcomplicated, or abecedarian language is a sign of acute intelligence, when in reality it's just too much. In my opinion, these concerns are what spurred these requests by my attorney in the first place. It is undoubtedly of the utmost importance to me to fight for my truth, and in which I thought my attorney was doing also. So again, I get what she's saying, but that was genuinely a stupid way of saying it. Moreover, fighting for her truth in this scenario is ridiculous. In case she wasn't aware, there's a video online of her while she's killing her boyfriend and sort of mocking and celebrating his death. There's no explanation of events that makes her actions acceptable or good. My truth is a phrase that should be used when talking about a situation where your interpretation of events differs from others. Not when you kill someone, but don't think you should be in prison. Thank you beyond measure for your very much needed assistance and understanding. I am flying blind. I don't know the process, procedure, or protocol for any of this, since I have never been in the current situation or situations I am in. Yes, obviously, most people in prison awaiting trial for murder have never been in prison awaiting trial for murder. I am eager to meet with you to further explain any and all question or concerns whomever may have. Please know with great emphasis, I just want to move forward, especially for the length of time already being incarcerated, and remedy this entire predicament, however that may be, in the best possible manner. Have my best interest and security above all else. As previously mentioned, Sarah believes if she can be left alone with the judge, if she can talk to them for just a few moments, she'll be able to convince them that she is a good person, and therefore, her leaving her boyfriend to suffocate in a suitcase was just an unfortunate accident. She's going out of her way to use flowery, overly kind words in order to appeal to the judge, and make them think of her as just a nice woman who might have gotten caught up in something unscrupulous. Again, I thank you profusely. I await your response with further direction in order to be in attendance and proceed forward. Exceptionally grateful, Sarah Boone. The next letter she would send would be on October 3rd, 2022, this time to her new lawyer, Frank Bankowitz. Because this letter is to her lawyer and not the judge in the case, pay attention to the tone and to the words she uses, and compare them to how she sounded in the first letter 6 months earlier. Mr. Bankowitz, I am writing in regards to not hearing from you and am becoming very concerned after receiving no response to any of my daily calls or from the letters I've sent. As previously stated, to expect to hear from your lawyer daily in a case like this is highly unlikely, especially if this is a lawyer who is trying to catch up to a case this size. He would be going over all the previous lawyer's work, meeting with experts, talking to friends and family, character witnesses, and trying to get an argument together. He wouldn't be able to sit down and give his client a rundown of his daily tasks, and to think so would be incredibly strange. As of today, October 3rd, you have been my court-appointed attorney for almost 3 months, 12 weeks, 84 days, and only spoken to me 3 times. July 14th, 2022, video instruction, 15 minutes. August 2nd, 2022, video update, 15 minutes. August 22nd, 2022, visit in person, 90 minutes. I have written 2 letters in the meantime also. My most recent I sent September 12th, 2022, with no response. I am unaware of the difficulties you're having in communicating with me, video, phone, in person, especially via phone, which to me is the simplest form of doing so, even if just for a brief update, which takes only minutes. I believed you. I believed by you giving me your personal cell number, you were going to answer. I would at least known all is well and have a better understanding of the status of some things, what to plan on, or what I may need to work on. With no communication makes my end more difficult, drawn out, and painful. Please figure out whatever necessary for my phone calls to be answered, which you will be reimbursed for when you submit your cost. It feels at this rate of communication and meetings, and you just coming on board, not having all of my discovery to go over on top of everything else to be done in depth. How much longer am I really going to be here added to the 32 months already? Especially if we communicate however you eventually do only 1 time a month. If that, as for all of the month of September, I know nothing from hearing from you. It's strange that Sarah seems to be aware of how much work and pressure her lawyer would be under, given that he has to catch up to 2 years of work done by other lawyers, but is unable to grasp that because of that, he wouldn't be available to her at all hours of the day. Again, he would be going over years of court orders, discovery, and details, and that's before considering that he has other clients. For her to want to talk to him daily is absurd. I understand that you have other clients, as I am one also, and you've been recuperating from your back. But remember, please, how long I've been here. You are my 6th attorney, not by choice. In the magnitude of my case, with not knowing what's going on, or where you are, how much harder it is for me. It is not, in fact, harder for her. I want to get on with my life, Mr. Bankowitz, and not miss any more time necessary from my son. I've already missed 4 of his birthdays, and I've already spent 3 of my own in here. Please understand. Again, she's under the belief that at the end of the trial, she will be getting out, and I cannot emphasize how that will not happen. There's no way forward from what she did to where she gets away with murder, but she's completely unaware of that and fully believes that if her lawyer calls her every day, if she can have one-on-one time with the judge, she'll be found innocent and maybe even given financial compensation by the state of Florida. No, too. I am patient. She sounds like a mob boss. I am the danger. Clearly, after all the time already invested. And still smiling. See, Sarah's fine. She doesn't give a fuck. And Sarah is willing to go above and beyond whatever we need to do to properly and truthfully convey my very convoluted, misunderstood side of everything, which I boldly told you in our meeting last month. I am dedicated, ready to state and overdo. Have you ever met someone who continues to do things that harm others, all the while stating that they're the victim in every situation? Someone who seems to lack so much self-awareness to their own issues that it seems impossible that they even understand reality. I think in modern times, a person like this can be called a lot of things. Overdramatic, delusional, and in some cases, a Karen. Sarah is all of those things. In her letter, reprimanding her 6th court-appointed attorney after the previous lawyers left because she was unreasonable and aggressive for not making themselves available to her every day. She states that she is an incredibly patient, understanding woman. Every part of this case and her behavior shows the exact opposite, but she wholeheartedly believes that that isn't the case. I am so very grateful, Mr. Bankowitz, for you, all that you're doing, have done, and will do. We're in this together, and I'm so blessed that you're my attorney. God has put us in each other's paths for a reason, and I can't wait to see what you and he will do. I'm praying the 6th time is the charm. Please respond. I await your response. Thank you profusely, Sarah Boone. 1 month later, Sarah would send this letter to the judge, November 3rd, 2023, 4 weeks exactly since last letter. Honorable Judge Wooten, forgive me in advice for having to utilize your invaluable time to ask the current progress of my case, but after not having any form of communication with my attorney appointed by you now, after 11 weeks and counting, after sending 4 letters to my attorney appointed by you with no response, and after finally finding an outside source to inform me of the uneventful, confusing filed documents online by my attorney appointed by you, I am still waiting with the perpetual question mark over my head. The perpetual question mark over my fucking head. Where the hell is my goddamn attorney, bro? I don't know how she thinks this is going to be productive, but I mean, here we go. This letter is notably different from the first one she sent to the judge, in that in this letter, she is now holding him directly responsible for her attorney's actions. Her attorney not having time for her and calling her daily is now the judge's fault, because he was the one to appoint him to her case. She is beginning to believe that there is a conspiracy against her in this court, and that the judge is secretly behind it. Why else would he appoint an attorney to her case who wouldn't call her back? No letters, no video visits, no face-to-face visits, no answered phone calls from my attorney, or even a response from you, Your Honor, regarding my letters expressing my legitimate concern of what's going on in my case. And where is my attorney? To be clear, a defendant talking directly to the judge in a case, especially over matters of their own defense, the way Sarah wants to here, is ridiculous. She's basically asking the judge to work as a go-between between her lawyer and her, and give her special treatment. In no way is that a reasonable request. It has now been 4 months since being appointed another attorney, number 6, and not by my decision, influence, or choice. In almost 3 of 4 months not hearing from said attorney. 8/22/22, last correspondence. Why? What is the reason? Why haven't I received a letter, a 15-minute video update, anything? Even after my PTC on October 25th is what truly confuses me and nonetheless upsets me is the fact that I was not in attendance so I could know what is going on in my case, especially considering I have not heard from my attorney in 11 weeks and should have been included. Okay, so no, she shouldn't have been. The reason that the defendant isn't included in every court hearing regarding the case is straightforward and simple. They do not need to be. Especially a defendant like Sarah, who believes she knows better than her lawyers and feels like she should be involved in her own defense. It's clear that she would not be able to handle sitting in the court and not responding to each and every statement that she doesn't agree with, which is why she isn't given the chance. She knows what is happening in the case, because in her past letters, she describes what her lawyer is doing. He's going through old discoveries and making up for past times. But in her mind, she needs to be included in that, which, to be clear, would only make things take longer. The respectful, flowery language has completely dissipated, and now she's basically yelling at the judge in her own case, which I find to be mildly amusing, obviously. Why was I not? This is my case. She says that as if she is the one in charge of the case, and not the person on trial for murder. Was Mr. Bankowitz even there to represent me? I don't know. Anything. Still. The problem is that my constitutional rights are being waived without my knowledge or permission. I've never signed anything nor verbalized the idea that I wish to, quote, waive my appearances to any of my court dates. I want to be present for all dates. Going forward, please, regardless of significance. All are significant to me since my attorney fails to relay any information in any way. If he's not going to, I must myself and for myself. As always, my entire life. What else can I do? Who else can I seek help from? I have you and God Judge Wooten. If I do have an attorney, where is he? There's so much to do all over in my case. Hopefully the right way this time. Because off to a rocky start, where I wonder, how more extended will my time be on top of the almost soon-to-be 36 months, 3 years already? Statements like this are why her lawyers have left. If you are working with a lawyer and you repeatedly make statements like this, your lawyer will believe that you are dissatisfied with their services and request to leave, especially if you are writing the judge directly stating that you are unhappy with their services. Is this how the justice system really works? Am I being penalized for wanting to be fully involved in everything in my case and intelligent enough to know how my case is being handled is just unjust? And from my point of view, disastrous, considering I'm still sitting in Orange County jail counting the days and praying my sixth attorney contacts me and we can move forward. Finally coming to an end, this seemingly endless debacle. the murder the murder that you filmed like was a debacle. That's just, who knows, it's crazy misunderstanding. I don't know how I got here. It's just so wild. You would think, considering the circus show my entire case is being made out to be, with all the hype, sensationalism, and publicity, I received a letter all the way from across the pond, England, the other day. It would be being handled more professional, better. Sarah believes because people have watched videos about her case and people are horrified at her behavior that she is a celebrity of some sort. I learn something new every day about facts, events, and outcomes in my case, from all the inmates and officers as well. I wonder if they might know where my attorney is. Bottom line, please understand I don't want to be here any longer. I don't want to be hindered any longer in just getting to the starting line again. I don't want to be suppressed and being heard finally, truthfully, and correctly. So when, Judge Wooten, when will I hear from my attorney? Or you, please? Just some type of response, other than a copy of my letters that I keep sending, which I already have. In the meantime, it is my understanding that the following documents have been filed in my case since the appointment of Frank Bankowitz. My attorney, MIA. 7/11, Bankowitz appointed. 7/12, PTC order, pre-trial 10/25, trial 11/7. 8/29, pre-trial, cancelled. 9/23, notice of unavailability, state 10/7, correspondence, my letter to Bankowitz. 10/12, correspondence to defendant, copy of my letter. 10/24, notice of appearance, for what? Had 3 years ago. Not guilty pleas, already filed, waiver of appearance, never signed or agreed to, compensation, for what? What's been done? 10/25, substituting conflict counsel. Who is my attorney? 10/25, PTC, 11/17/2023, trial, 1/30/2023. That's it. In the almost 4 months I've been a client of Mr. Bankowitz, this is the only, quote, progress? What's next? And where are my copies of everything filed ever? This is one way I can have some idea of what's happening, and please remember, I have no access to a computer, not any reliable outside source to check anything for me. Please mail copies. I'm trying to come up with any solution possible to keep me, the other party in my case, informed and updated. This also is part of the court's responsibility. I would especially think, knowing I've not heard from my attorney in any way for 11 weeks. I want to be included. As always, I thank you for your time and understanding. Please help whenever able. I am not helpless. And I am ready to get the show on the road and hear from someone other than myself asking the same question over and over and over again. What is going on in my case? Or how many more pen will I exhaust asking? Grateful and patiently waiting, I will await your response. Sincerely, Sarah Boone. By the end of her letter, Sarah has exhausted all pleasantries. Her repeated statements about being kind, understanding, and patient went way out the window, and she very aggressively let the judge in her case know that she doesn't think he's doing his job. The next letter Sarah sent was exactly a month after. Summary of progress. Numbers only, it's all I have. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of her letter, she has always been sure to address who she is speaking with, writing a ceremonial, dear or honorable judge, before scolding them, of course. But here, she doesn't do that. She is well and truly sick of everyone she has to speak to, not least of which is the judge. In her mind, he's someone she is completely comfortable talking down to. Number 1. Since appointed by court, Frank J. Bankowitz, attorney number 6, July 11th, 2023, 21 weeks. 147 days, and counting. Number 2. Since last spoke to Frank J. Bankowitz, attorney number 6, August 22nd, 2022, 15 weeks, 105 days, and counting. There is something incredibly funny about the fact that Sarah believes repeatedly writing that Frank is her 6th court-appointed lawyer is somehow a slight to him and not to her. Most defendants don't go through 6 lawyers in the course of their first trial. Most only get 1, and they work with them throughout their entire trial. But Sarah is so rude and demanding that 6 separate lawyers have left her defense team because of her behavior. But she perceives them leaving not as a sign of her own poor behavior, but somehow a sign that her sixth lawyer is somehow deficient, which is obviously ridiculous. Number 3. Since pretrial conference, no response from attorney or court. October 25th, 2022. 6 weeks, 42 days and counting. Number 4. Since my last letter to judge regarding MIA attorney and case. November 3rd, 2022. 4 weeks, 32 days and counting. Number 5. Total hours represented by Frank J. Bankowitz. 3,528 and counting. Total hours spent with client, Sarah Boone. 2. Where is my attorney? Where are you, Judge Wooten? I understand the holiday mode everyone is in, as we inmates sit and wait for it to pass. But before we come to the end of the year, and another year, almost 3 for me, in Orange County Corrections Department, it would be respectful of the court to please advise the status and location of my attorney forevermore, and also provide any real progress of my case, which is difficult to do and further without an attorney. Nonetheless, after being appointed so many, I thought hopefully the level of dysfunction would have lessened. To be clear, the level of dysfunction in this case is being caused by her, almost like it's some sort of judicial quicksand, but she seems entirely unaware of that. Bankowitz is a court-appointed lawyer, meaning that he has a plethora of cases he's needed on, and cannot solely focus on Sarah the way she wants him to. Similarly, Judge Wooten is a judge. He oversees multiple cases, and can't follow Bankowitz around all day to relay what is going on to Sarah. Meanwhile, Sarah wants a progress update on a case that isn't close to going to trial, given how much work her lawyer has to do. Unfortunately to date, I am sadly mistaken and feel I've been severely misled. Even more unfortunate seemed to be the lack of representation from any part of my case. Other than myself, just look at the numbers. In the meantime, and in preparation for the upcoming, quote, status hearing on 12/20 at 10:45 a.m., which I just received notice of, thank you for the inclusion, I am in the process of writing our governor regarding the mismanagement of my case and the multiple obstacles and deterrent I am experiencing, trying to avoid any further time hindrances or setbacks going forward. Sarah is basically telling the judge here that she is going to complain to his manager, believing somehow that that will quicken the court case, which it won't. No sane person working in the legal system or in government would look at how this case is being handled and believe that Sarah is being unlawfully penalized. Again, she murdered a person. There is a video of her laughing as he's trapped in a little suitcase. She isn't going to explain that away and be released. Some of the major, legitimate concerns of mine are the violations of my constitutional rights, the degree of neglect, and the nonchalant approach by everyone in my case to substantially progress, and the illegal, non-permissive release and distribution by the Orange County Sheriff's Department of crucial confidential case files, as well as videos, photographs, documents, etc., pertinent to my case, which I have not even seen or even know about. Everyone knows more than I do about my case. So this isn't actually illegal. It's in line with Florida's Freedom of Information Act. This is also the reason why the existence of Florida Man and Florida Woman headlines are so prevalent. Florida's Freedom of Information Act is the Sunshine Law. The Florida Sunshine Law are a series of laws designed to guarantee that the public has access to public records, including all documents, papers, letters, maps, books, tapes, photographs, films, sound recordings, data processing software, or other material, regardless of physical form or characteristics, or means of transmission made or received pursuant to law, to ordinance, or any connection with the transaction of the official business by any agency. This means if you commit a crime in Florida, all relevant court records and accounts will be found online, which is how I and many other people have gained access to her letters. This is also why all relevant interrogation footage for this case has been released to the public. As a result, it is impossible to choose a jury that will be impartial, fair, and uninfluenced by all the mutated, exaggerated, hyped sensationalism. I do like the usage of the word mutated there. I think that's fun. Sounds like some sort of horrible beast of justice. But this is not true. Though Sarah's case has been widely reported on, not everyone living in the Orange County area will know anything about her case. It's very easy to think that millions of views and media attention means that everyone in the world knows about something. But some people don't watch the news, others don't watch YouTube, and fewer still read newspapers. This being a significant reason I requested a change of venue previously. At this point, it will make no difference. There is nowhere I am not known. Again, patently false. But this has more to do with her ego. I have made a video on her and have kept up with her case. But truly, if she were walking down the street, I wouldn't know who she was. The premature, unfair judgment by everyone has wrongfully and inappropriately already been made. I haven't even seen my discovery, or know where my attorney is, my sixth attorney. Not only am I, the other party of my case, still in the dark with everything, I am blind and in the dark. This is wrong, unfair, especially for a still proud citizen of the United States of America, and unacceptable. There is more to everything, much more, and in which I have been patient to an extreme to explain, interpret, and educate what now seems to be the whole world. Okay, no, that's too much. Too much again. There is no way you can explain away locking someone in a suitcase and leaving them to die, all the while recording them and laughing as they plead for you to let them out. You could argue that Jorge was abusive and that you were acting in self-defense, but that argument goes out the window when he was defenseless in the suitcase. Had she left him there, gone to a neighbor, or called the police on him in the way she had done before, she wouldn't be on trial for murder. But she convinced him to get into her suitcase and left him to die. This is beyond the scope of a misunderstanding. I am hopeful the governor will be able to untangle the chaos and mistreatment. No one else seems to be available or willing to abide by the protocol of our, quote, justice system and rightfully, eagerly apply themselves. I'm hoping, still, these aforementioned topics can be further discussed at the hearing on the 20th, and in which I am bringing to everyone's attention prior. I have not heard from my court-appointed attorney to date, so I am unaware of what else may be on the docket. It's time to finally move forward and in all the right ways. Happy holidays, Sarah Boone. But she was not done. In that same letter, she continues writing, Mr. Bankowitz, I am also sending a direct copy to you in case the court and/or judge does not, therefore giving no reason of any unsurety of my ongoing concerns regarding having no communication from you in any manner for almost 4 months. I believed the court and/or judge would have sent copies to you of all of my letters of them, but since I have been unsuccessful in receiving a response or update by their side also, I am taking it upon myself to make sure everyone is aware I am still sitting here waiting for you. Please respond. I look forward to seeing you at the hearing, if not before then, with very much overdue and anticipated progress. Thank you, Sarah Boone. 5 days after writing this letter to the judge and her lawyer, Bankowitz filed this motion to withdraw from her case, citing irreconcilable differences, which makes sense, given everything we have just read. However, the court denied this motion to withdraw, partially because of how long this trial has been dragged out. So, on January 10th, 2023, Sarah wrote him this letter. Mr. Bankowitz, hello and Happy New Year. I hope the holidays were lovely and very memorable for you and your family. I just wanted to check in as I have not heard from you since the, quote, status hearing back on December 27th, 2022. I want to confirm that you were still my attorney after your motion to withdraw was filed December 19th, 2022. It is my understanding you are, which is why I am writing you directly, but also including Judge Wooten, for fear I do not receive a response like the last almost 5 months, 21 weeks, 147 days. It's very important to me you are aware of my questions and concerns for the anticipated pre-trial conference on January 17th, 2023. If you are unable to speak to me beforehand, which I am very much hoping you will be. Unfortunately, I'm unsure what else to inquire about, as I am unaware of any other, quote, progress going on in my case. Sarah continues to put status, progress, and words similar to those in quotations to still show how annoyed she is that she isn't hearing any updates. But the issue is that there aren't any updates. No progress has been made because it's not like her lawyers are able to go out and track down some expert who will be willing to go on the stand and say that locking your boyfriend in a suitcase is a reasonable thing to do. The trial hasn't started. Her lawyer hasn't found a breakthrough piece of evidence that exonerates her, and she has yet to come up with anything that can be used in court, so there's been no progress, and it's her own fault. In the meantime, please see below, and thank you in advance for the information and clarification. Number 1, pre-trial conference, Tuesday, December 17th, 2023. I would like to be in attendance. What time, please? I have not received a notice via mail or heard from you to ask, and no time was stated during the status hearing. Please make necessary arrangements for me to be included. It is my right. Number 2, waiver of appearance. Please mail or bring appropriate document or documents to unwaive my appearance going forward to everything I am able to include on, so I am updated with any and all status of my case. It is my right. Please note, I have not signed any paperwork for you since the start of your presentation, 7/11/22, as my attorney, so I am unclear how my right to appear was waived in the first place. nor have I verbally given permission for the waiver either. Please provide the quote, signed copy at your earliest convenience. Number 3. Reason for withdrawal. It was not made known by you as my attorney or stated by the judge to the court during the status hearing. I was completely blindsided and still massively confused for the attempt, as our attorney-client relationship hasn't even been established from the 2 hours we have spoken out of 4,536, and the general information it was when we did. If you had genuine legitimate concerns, I thought from a professional, moralistic standpoint, you would have discussed it with me, or at least mentioned, rather than being uncommunicative for almost 6 months, an entire half of another year, for me just sitting here with nothing to show but the perpetual question mark still over my head. Sarah being blindsided that someone doesn't want to be her lawyer after sending them multiple letters stating that she doesn't like how they're doing their job, and calling them multiple times a day, then trying to report them to who she believes is their boss, then going as far as to try and talk to that person's boss when they don't respond the way that she likes, is more than a little ridiculous. She has repeatedly demeaned this man, been combative in her language, and tried to imply that he wasn't able or fit to do his job. She's been reluctant to listen to any and all legal advice given, and instead of helping the case, she has repeatedly hindered it by trying to distract her counsel with needless requests and inquiries. Her own letters talk about her own dissatisfaction with the situation, so her complete surprise is ridiculous. I would have hoped if you were unable to maintain your workload, which still presently includes me as your client, you would not have made the decision to take on my case and even given me selling points on all of your capabilities and resources. Again, Sarah refuses to see her behavior as being a factor in his motion to be removed, and is now stating that he is just too overworked, which is nonsense. She has access to the motion to withdraw, and knows that the reason given was not that he was simply too busy to handle a case of this magnitude. Rather, he said it was irreconcilable differences, but to acknowledge that would be to potentially find fault in herself, which she cannot do. Why? Please help me understand. We are supposed to be working together and for each other rather than against. It worries me futuristically. Also, I have not to date received a copy of your withdrawal. Judge Wooten said I was included on when reading the certificate of service during the hearing. Please provide me a copy. Number 5. Phone account. It was previously told to me by you in our one-person meeting, 8/22/22, that you already had this set up and were having your assistant look into so we could use. After not answering any of my calls, the few I did make in an attempt to touch base with you to provide requested information you asked for me, I stopped calling you, Mr. Bankowitz, and have not to date since September 2022. I kept hoping you would call me or set up a visit, even for 15 minutes, which has not happened. Please help me understand why you gave me your personal cell phone number. Also, to clarify, the judge, etc., I did not avidly search for the statement regarding your public reprimands in 2015 and 18 in an attempt to speak with you from no response to my letters or calls, cell or office, when having someone look up any contact alternative and confirm your address from a letter I sent that was returned then resent. The reprimands were discovered, and for the same complaints as mine, lack of communication. During the status hearing, when I made this known, I was not clear in the end if you were going to actual set up, again the phone account, to be used, which any and all callers, inmates, must have established in order to speak to family, friends, attorneys, anyone. It was nothing new or extra, and all cost incurred can be submitted for payment to the court as you have done in the past already. To clarify, while in court, Sarah deliberately tried to reprimand her lawyer for not speaking to her every time she called, which was nearly every day. She thought that was them being callously uncommunicative, and she looked up other cases he had worked on and brought up past reprimands he had gotten to support her case. But now she's shocked he doesn't want to represent her, and filed a motion to withdraw. It's like complaining about how someone made your coffee, attempting to get them fired, and then being shocked when they refuse to serve you again the next time you complain at the coffee shop. This is how attorneys communicate with their clients here at OCCD. Another option, in addition to 45-minute video visits, 15-minute at-home visits, in-person visits, and of course, the postal service. It would definitely have made sense to use an avoidance of even more time being exhausted in the length between any visits in the future, which will only help the progress of everything. Will you be utilizing? I think the biggest issue that Sarah has is thinking that she can help this court case at all, and that she can be of service to her lawyers. Between the times they've seen each other, no new information has been made available. She hasn't changed her story, and she hasn't stated that she wants to argue the case in a different way. There is nothing to be gained from a phone call. Number 5. Discovery/case materials. In the status hearing, you stated you have 2 boxes of information that are out of order and unorganized. Have you organized and reviewed? How long have they been in your possession? When will we be going over? It is extremely concerning that this is all you have. It has been said there were 3, 5, 6, a ton from some of the attorneys prior on my case. Which is it and what is there? 3 years later, I'm still wondering. I have also put in numerous hours, pages, pen ink of my own information, which I am praying is in either of the boxes you currently have. Please let me know, as the added amount of even more time to locate, receive, review anything missing from everyone receiving beforehand withdrawing will most definitely be extreme. I don't know what you have. I could also assist in organizing what you do have, considering it's part of my case. I am eagerly waiting and more than willing to help with this and everything else. I just need to see what there is, which I have yet to see 3 years later. Again, Sarah is operating under the delusion that she can be helpful to anyone, much less a lawyer. She is so incompetent that even if her heart was in the right place, she would undoubtedly ruin the paperwork. Number 6. Prosecutor. Is there no one new in my case? I noticed his attendance during the 3 status hearing attempts and came to the conclusion that there is. Since you have not communicated with me this or any information, not an announcement was made by the court, I do not know. If so, what is his name? What is his background? Mr. Bankowitz, you must understand how insignificant I have been made to feel with the never-ending debacles, hurdles, and stumbling blocks I have and am going through and still facing since becoming incarcerated. No one seems to listen, ever. I refuse, absolutely refuse, to believe this. My entire experience to date really is how our justice system operates. I refuse because, as said to you, Judge Wooten, the court, to everyone else in the status hearing, and to anyone who truly cares, my reason is hope. Never-ending, no matter what, hope. This being the entire reason I am even here for my incarceration. As opposed to what? You killed a person. You aren't incarcerated by choice. You had no other option. The fact that Sarah continues to act as if she is the one in control of the situation, that her being in prison is because she is allowing it, is obviously ridiculous. Nothing is impossible with God, and I await my day to say my truth and side of everything. Please don't give up. I have not and will not ever. I await your response or responses. Always, Mr. Bankowitz, thank you. Sincerely, Sarah Boone. 2 months later, on March 22nd, Sarah sent another letter. Mr. Bankowitz, this is my 3rd letter trying to reach you over almost a 6-week period now. The same two phone numbers you've given me still don't work. The one number, your personal cell, goes to voicemail directly and doesn't even ring. I've had this number since you personally gave me back in July of 2022, upon your appointment as my attorney by the court, not working still 8 months later. The other number rings and rings and rings until it automatically disconnects me, not working either. This is also the number you continuously tell me it just needs to be activated. Please activate. I even, in my desperation to speak with you, had an outside caller try to reach you on my behalf, who tried calling your office 3 times over the last almost 3 weeks. We're both hoping that you're able to replay her email she sent today as another form of trying to communicate with you. I've exhausted my resource and am just sitting here waiting for you to contact me in whatever way you're able to, and as soon as possible, please. Time-sensitive matters are at hand, as I have made you aware of previously, verbally and in my letters. I know you have attempted to schedule the minimum 15-minute video calls within the last week, the first having technical difficulties and canceled. Then the second was a no-show. What it seems to be is every time on your end, whatever the disconnect is, I am extremely frustrated and worried, not being able to communicate with you, even just sometimes, especially when there are very important, pressing discussions needing to be had already, but have not, from no means of successful communication. Mr. Bankowitz, why do the phone numbers 2 still not work? You've given me over 8 months ago, and you keep telling me to call. Neither work, and have yet to be answered. Why are you not responding to any of my letters? 3 so far this year. Why are you unable to correctly set up a video call if you were even on the call? Please know, Even though I am temporarily an inmate and incarcerated, I do have a schedule with classes, dorm trustee duties, and medical appointments which I have to be excused from for nothing. Please fix the connection problem. Remember too, please, I am just back at the starting line, barely, with you as my attorney, and I have yet to be able to speak with you on the phone. I am genuinely concerned with the numerous promises you've made, and even suggested yourself that will or can be done, but they do not yet. I need your help, and you have graciously offered to. But when? Please. My pretrial conference, I found out, is now March 31st, 2023, which you have said previously, for whatever reason, I'm unable to attend any of these conferences. How am I supposed to know what's going on, and what are you reporting, and what is being discussed between all other parties except me, the main component in my case, especially if we, in a still unestablished attorney-client relationship, are not in regular, proper communication with one another? Why can I not be in attendance and participate in my pre-trial conference? How else am I to be kept updated in real time in actual minutes during my conference if not there myself? I have no way of knowing anything if not updated by you, my attorney, and I do not have a computer to use/view myself. Help me understand, please. How can court TV, different news channels, and even, quote, professional YouTubers, that's us, attend my pre-trial conference and I cannot? How? I'm sure one of the other parties can help me with updates, since they all will be in attendance for me also, should you be able to provide. Why can I not be included for my PTC for my case? I'm sure also everything from the conference, collected from everyone else, will be vomited all over the internet just like everything else has been, not permissively, and can add even more dysfunction and ignorance to my prejudgment already made by the world in the great court of public opinion. I would like to be a part of all of this, seeing as it all pertains to me. Please, it is my right. So many questions, concerns, piling and piling up from not being able to remedy or complete from no communication. Please change, answer, fix, or present. Please. Everything you've given me to complete has been done on top of everything else I am dealing with, keeping at bay and really trying to figure out by myself, since you were unable to, even by just answering the phone once. I don't know what else to say that has not been already many times. I am still here, still waiting, still hoping, 3 years later and counting, with you, Mr. Bankowitz, 8 months and counting, ready whenever you are. Trying my best always and thanking you in advance. Sincerely, Sarah Boone. The following month, she writes the following letter. Strangely enough, this one was written with the public in mind, not her lawyer or the judge. To whom it may concern, the enclosed letter I sent March 22, 2023, was scanned incorrectly on the clerk's website, only first and third page, so I am resending with nothing on the backs to avoid confusion, and were missed previously. I also received a copy of my copied letter today, with only the same 2 pages included. Are my letters even being read? I wrote 4, but only 2 were copies, uploaded and mailed. Clerical error. An update while already contacting you. Mr. Bankowitz has not met with me personally, face to face. Ongoing now 2 months, 8 more weeks. The 2 phone numbers given still do not work, or his office phone answered when someone trying on the outside. Just Wooten, can you please have Mr. Bankowitz fix the phone problem? He asked me for information, some critical and time sensitive, which I complete expeditiously for him, but then have no way to relay successfully, in turn hindering progress and creating even more to discuss in a 15-minute video visit when he does actually schedule and at work. Even PDs answer their calls, and I've yet to be able to speak to my court-appointed attorney on 2 phone numbers for 9 months. July 11th is my 1-year mark, another milestone while here, with Mr. Bankowitz as my attorney. It is also my next pre-trial conference. Will I be able to attend and be included as I was with my last? Thank you. Please also include me in the, quote, status hearing you mentioned to the court during the last conference, which is supposed to happen sometime prior to the next pretrial conference in July. I am still waiting patiently and respectfully, 6,480 hours later, with Mr. Bankowitz as my attorney, waiting for him to contact me and hoping just one of his phone numbers will finally work so we can pick up speed to provide significant progress in my upcoming meeting. Thank you all for reading my entire letter and uploading correctly for all the world to read. Also, critique and judge wrongly and incorrectly as usual. Ignorance is bliss. I wonder what platform of popularity I will be featured on next, and how much wasted time, effort, and thought will be put into mutating and grossly exaggerating my case information. Racketeered to the World Wide Web. Shaking my head. Run with it. I wonder, too, if I have a panel of, quote, letter readers dedicated to all the ones I've written. Enjoy. There's more to come. Oh, I bet there fucking is. Shout out to my supporters. Heart. Everyone is waiting. Not on me. Hopefully, no matter what, Sarah Boone. And that was the last letter, until the day I am writing this video, when the clerk uploaded her longest, angriest letter to date. Sarah is now well and truly aware of the coverage of her case, with the JCS video racking up a cool 13 million views and multiple channels breaking down her letters in detail. At this point, she believes that she is being victimized by the world at large, not just her lawyer and the judge. So let's read that. Judge Wayne C. Wooten, Attorney Frank J. Bankowitz, World Wide Web, Perspective, Merriam-Webster Dictionary. I wonder how many people are going to actually look up the definition to see if it's the same. I also wonder how many website hits the word perspective will get. There comes a time when someone being negatively discussed on the internet begins to use that virality as a sort of calling card or a thing to be proud of. Mind you, Sarah's case has gone viral for her antics and her ridiculous behavior. She isn't being discussed because she is creative, clever, or witty. She's being discussed because the manner in which she behaved after killing her boyfriend was so ridiculous that people couldn't help but laugh. But all she can see is that it went viral, and she on some level is famous, and that by her defining the word perspective in a letter, the searches for the word are going to skyrocket. Definition 1. The science of painting or drawing so that objects represented have apparent depth and distance. Number 2. The aspect in which, as subject or its parts, are mentally viewed, a view of things, as objects or events, in their true relationship or relative importance. Please review so everyone has a clearer, better understanding of my continued concerns, hindrances, questions, and frustrations with the justice system and the solid, absolute remissness of my case in the due process of. I am and have been waiting very patiently and maintaining what I can, since no one else has or will, it seems. And I feel, at this point, 6 attorneys later, 39 months, almost 3.5 years, which I will make, and not by choice, I need to make all aware of my immense struggle with the extreme mismanagement of my case to date. Let's look at the bigger picture, or perspective, to get a better view of what I've had more than enough time to see and realize. I'm hoping by doing so, eyes can finally be opened, and very overdue, longed for progress and finalization can be had. The growing amass of ignorance, manipulation, slander, and advantageous gain must stop. My truth needs to be heard, and it is my right. Do not give me rights, expecting me not to fully utilize them. I voted for the president and governor while here in jail, and stop violating what I've been trying to utilize or lessen the value of my capabilities and opportunities. I am not apologetic in any way for being an observant, hardworking, above average, non-stereotypical inmate. I can only imagine, sadly, how other, not as outspoken as myself, have been and are being mistreated, overlooked, and dehumanized. Get it together. Judge Wayne C. Wooten. Number 1. At what point do you evaluate and intercede in a case to make sure there is proper advancement, regular communication between attorney and client, ethical treatment of client is being upheld, time frames are met, etc.? Clearly, you know and have known the prolongation of my difficulties from your comments regarding my letters, but with no intervention from you to change anything for a better, less problematic process. You've told me in the past, when I've tried to voice my legitimate concerns to you in the courtroom, 5 times in total in 3.3 years, and in my letters to save it for the next attorney, if told anything at all. Do tell me, Your Honor, which attorney? Sarah still fails to realize that she is the problem. In every situation thus far, she has been the issue because she simply refuses to acknowledge the situation that she's in. She does not have unlimited access to her lawyers. Because they are court-appointed, they have other cases, some of which are more pressing than her own, and her daily calls, where she questions their authority, tries to undermine their intelligence, and repeatedly states that they don't know as much as she does. All of this does not help them do their job. She creates an environment where in order to get any work done, they have to be holding her hand, and each and every lawyer she's worked with asks to leave. Because of that, she's been told by every lawyer she's had, as well as the judge and the public, to wait. All she has to do is wait, as they put together the best case possible for her, and she refuses to do that. I'm on my 6th, whom I've not seen in person for over another 3 months period, 12 weeks, 89 days and counting. Frank J. Bankowitz has been my appointed attorney by the court to, quote, represent me in my case, and has been for 10 months and counting. Total approximate hours of representation, 7,200. Total times attorney has met with client, Sarah Boone, 6. Phone numbers given to client by attorney, 2. Phone calls answered from client by attorney, 0. Outside sources calling attorney on behalf of client, 3. Phone calls, emails, voicemails, answered by attorney, 0. Letters client sent to attorney trying to communicate, 7. Letters defendant/client sent to judge trying to communicate, animate attorney, and unsuccessfulness, 5. 15-minute video visits between attorney and client, 3. Attended court dates scheduled, 2. I was attempted withdraw. The other, an allowance to finally be included in my PTC, which was the same information carried over from all the others. Now what? What she said right there is very important, and why she wasn't at the other pretrial conferences. Most of them were reassertions of the same basic premise. The prosecution was ready to move forward with their case, and the defense was not. She was told this by her counsel and the judge, but she refused to believe that that was the case until she went herself, and is now angry that that's the case. She's gone through 6 lawyers, all of which have other cases, all of which have to wade through everything in this case to try and make an argument in defense of Sarah's indefensible actions. It's not going to move as quickly as she would like, especially if she continues to antagonize everyone involved in the case. Number 2, why are you allowing/enabling my constitutional rights to be continuously violated? History lesson for everyone. First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, Eighth Amendment, 14th Amendment. Number 3, why am I being judged for my legitimate letters that I write in order to know the status of my case or attorney and how much longer before something substantial occurs in the progress of 3.3 years later, other than the inappropriate prejudgments being made due to the excessive amount of my case information online, bigger and meaner fabrications of my case-sensitive details in which I have not seen, or even greater, mind-numbing, one-sided ignorance. If I didn't write my letters, would you or anyone be aware of all of my rightful concerns, still and ongoing? Is a perpetual question mark over a defendant's head the norm during a case due to inactivity, no communication, no help or intervention, or answers being given by anyone in the justice system? Honestly, what has been done about or with any of my letters other than being scanned and uploaded incorrectly? I made sure to correct so everyone is up to speed on my case status. Unfortunately, it is all I have to report on at this time. Sarah rightfully surmises that with her letters being uploaded online, more and more people will be able to talk about them and gawk at her antics. However, as we've seen time and time again, she seems unable to realize that that is her own doing. If you're in a situation and you note that every time you raise your hand, you get a violent shock, you would likely stop raising your hand. Sarah is basically in that position. Every time she writes a letter demanding to know the answer to the same questions that have already been answered by all of her lawyers and the judge, the public gets access to them and can further ridicule her due to Florida's sunshine laws. But instead of deciding to keep her communications with her lawyers private and foregoing writing letters, she writes more of them. That is the complete opposite of problem solving. Number 4, why are you allowing numerous case safety and protection elements to be breached, violated, and manipulated? Why has a gag order never been implemented? My case is turned into an unnecessary witch hunt from the innumerable violation of my case details being leaked and racketeered illegally in exchange for website hits, viewer rating, etc. In exchange for $. What is your cut, Your Honor? Yeah, got him, Sarah. That was rad. She is now accusing the judge in her own case of being corrupt before the case has even begun, and she believes that this is helpful. You choose who knows what, where, and how in your courtroom. When did court minutes become live? I believe in Florida the sunshine laws were passed in 1955. So 1955. Are you the one who authorizes and upload to the internet? It's all about how much rather than how did it happen. No matter the destruction caused in the meantime and is irreparable, it's not even about the suitcase anymore. Yes, it is. This is about you murdering someone. My case is now a global event, with the video receiving over 3 million hits, depending on the website, in turn making me realize that that's over 3 million less unprejudiced, unbiased, non-discriminatory, fair jurors I have access to on my case. While that is true, there are over 7.8 billion people in the world, meaning that those people only make up 0.0384615384615384644% of the population, so a fair jury would still be relatively easy to find. How is that going to work? Now what? Number 5. Factoring important private details should not be made ready and available for the whole world to know before I, the defendant, does. Correct? This is wrong, as well as unconstitutional and unfair, and not how the justice system is supposed to work for anyone. I'm tired of having motive attributed to me that are unreal, assumed, and inappropriate. This is not legal. Number 6. This is what a trial is for, correct? Number 7. At this point, what can even be rightfully suppressed in my case? Once you ring the bell, it can't be unrung. It's already been heard and seen. I don't even know where the bell is or who is ringing it. Number 8. When do I, the main component in my case, actually get to know, see, or hear anything everyone else already has? When am I going to be included also? Number 9. When is the next status hearing you stated would happen before my pretrial conference, 7/11/23, my attorney's 1-year mark? Am I included? Number 10. What else can I do to ensure the productivity, communication, incorruptibility, appropriation, and intellectualism of my case? It is my right to know so I can begin or continue to true progress of any kind to fully be succeeded. Attorney Frank J. Bankowitz. Number 1. Where are you? Our last in-person meeting was February 15th, 2023, 3 months. Number 2. When is our next meeting? Remember, please, there are still time-sensitive matters pressing. FYI, in the 10 months of your representation, here are the 6 meeting dates which have occurred so you can see, prospectively, the massive time gaps between while I have been sitting eagerly, waiting, wondering. Number 3. Why aren't you fixing either of the 2 phone numbers you gave me upon your appointment back in July of 2022? Every time I speak to you about it, it's a different excuse. Much progress can be had in a very expeditious manner, if completed. Why has it not almost a year later? Why do you keep telling me to call when you know they don't work? As said before, public defenders answer their calls and reply to mail. Why are you unable or unwilling? See the difference it will make. I halfway can't believe she's still talking to her attorney like this, but in a weird way I can. I can believe that. This goes on and on. Why is she like this? Jesus. Number 4. Our agreement made from one of my letters I wrote earlier this year, after not hearing from you in a solid 5 months prior, was to connect every 2 weeks, with or without significant progress. Why have you not been upholding this agreement, even in a 15-minute video visit? Remember, a phone call is another option and not as difficult technologically. A working number is needed, just one. Number 5. What are your anticipated dates of completion for anything already discussed? And will eventually, when do you actually show up for an in-person scheduled meeting? There are 1,000 little fires needing to be put out, and you're holding the fire hose. Please see, from my perspective, the botched, eye-rolling experience I am going through still, and how I believe anyone would act or do if in my slides doing the same. What would you do? Do not fault me in trying to make the best, most successful outcome possible for myself in every aspect in the convoluted predicament I am in and have been over the past 3.3 years. I would rather be called a narcissist, a pain in the ass, arrogant, strange, or whatever anyone else wants to waste their time thinking of. Just don't call me a murderer, which I am not. Okay, but you literally are though. Even if I give you the benefit of the doubt, you murdered someone, and you filmed it. Your actions caused someone else's death. You are a murderer by definition. No one knows me except for this ludicrous insanity that's been made up, mocked, edited, and spewed all over the internet. It is not me. I did not hit her. I did not. No, but it is though. It literally is you. I'm hoping and praying my highly anticipated day will come, whenever that will be. It's God's timing. I continue to wait, smiling. At least everyone will know I'm not sitting around eating bonbons watching soap operas. Application is the product of lesson. Give me my chance appropriately, correctly, and fairly in court. Unfortunately, my perspective of our justice system is incredibly dim and dull. I hope my very overdue blinding light has shone brightly for all to see a glimpse of how it really works. And being a system, we all have to work together to function in unison. Please help. See the difference I am trying to be and make. Waiting and wondering. Keeping it real? Now what? Sarah Boone. And then she puts down the telephone and turns around to walk away in slow motion. Okay, so as of writing, this is her last letter, and